What steps should you take to manage conflict? Well, we're going to talk about them coming up next. Hello everyone, I'm Michael Finley, bringing you another episode of Leadership Roll Call where we give you the tools to be a more effective leader. Our topic today is conflict and ways to manage conflict. Now, conflict is described as an argument or a disagreement that could escalate to a potential issue. So in our jobs, we have to manage conflict. It's one of the things that we have to do as a leader. Now, there's a couple of things that cause conflict. Some of them are competitive tensions between people. Some of them are ego, pride, jealousy. Sometimes it's just folks having a bad day. The two biggest causes of conflict are communication and emotion. Communication side of it is a lack of information or no information or misinformation or poor information. All of those things can cause a conflict. The other side is emotion. Sometimes when people let emotions drive their decision, the emotion is high and the reasoning is low. And it's not a very logical way to solve a conflict when emotion steps in. So we're going to talk about ways that you approach solving a conflict. Now, there's different ways. There's not one way that works for every conflict out there. Sometimes we have to use multiple ways on just one conflict. There's an overview called a Thomas Kilmann approach, and that's what we're going to talk about today. The first approach to managing conflict is avoidance. Yep, that's just it. You avoid the conflict. Now, there's actually some times that this should be the tactic that you use. First time is if the situation is trivial. It doesn't matter. Second is if you need to let the situation cool down. And the third is if there's more pressing issues, like rearranging the deck chairs on the deck of the Titanic, right? So if we have to deal with something more pressing, we could avoid a lesser issue. Now, the problem with this, or the drawback of this, is that it could escalate the conflict if you avoid it for too long, so you have to keep tabs on it. The next approach in managing conflict is accommodation. That's where you give in. Now, the times that you would do this is if you're wrong. You know, so sometimes we're talking to someone and we realize that we're wrong and we say, you know what, you're right, we're going to go your way. Another time to do it is if you want to let someone fail so that they can learn. Now, this could be from an employee even to a child learning how to tie their shoe or whatever. So we give in, let them do it their way, and let them see the results. This will be a learning method. The other time is if you're not going to win the argument. Say you're in a disagreement with your boss. Most of the times we're not going to win that argument, so we need to back off, give in to them, and live to fight another day. Now, the drawbacks of this is that if you do this too often, people will take advantage of you. But this is a good tactic to use in some situations, but you don't want to do it often because people will take advantage of you. The third approach is competition. That's where you use your power to win the argument. So when would we do this? Well, sometimes when the issue's pressing enough, like say in an emergency situation, if you smell natural gas and you tell everyone to get out, it's really not a time for argument. You want to get them to get out. It could also use, in a business standpoint, you would use when there's an unpopular statement that needs to be made. You need to cut people or you need to cut cost or anything like that. There's not time to debate this. There's not a avenue to debate this. It's your way, right? You're the boss. It's your way. Now, the drawbacks of using this is that you use it too often, and again, people are going to start resenting you. There may be some retaliation involved, but also the people may stop offering their opinions, and now you get a bunch of yes men running around. So hopefully you're not the kind of boss that wants to do that. You want to hear others' opinions. So competition's good in certain situations, but again, you use it too often, and it has some downside. The next approach is called compromise, and that's where you have two equal sides, and yes, they're committed to what they believe in, but they've got to give in, they've got to give up something in order to gain something. You see a lot of this in contract disputes. So this is a good way, and especially if it's time is a factor, there's a looming deadline or something like that, then both sides start giving in. They gain something, but they have to give up something. The one thing to make sure of if you do a compromise is that there has to be close monitoring to make sure that both sides actually give up what they say they're going to give up. The fifth and final approach is collaboration. Now that's again where you have two equal sides and they're committed. But the issue is so important that we've got to work through all the details so that both sides are happy with the results. They're satisfied with the results. Now the downside to this one is it takes a lot of time and effort, but the payoff is good. So collaboration, that's our fifth response to managing conflict. So there you have it. That's the 5 approaches to conflict management. Now again, not one size fits all. You may have to use multiple approaches for the same conflict at any given time. So your job as a leader to determine what's the best approach for this specific conflict. So I hope this was beneficial to you. I'd like to hear from you. If there's an approach that you used that worked or maybe even didn't work, please put it in the comment sections below. And if you haven't already, please subscribe to our channel. Until next time, good luck with managing conflict.